Good day, ladies and gentlemen. It is I, once again, the resident movie lover himself, Justin, Bridgewater's Finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter, and it is time to wrap up the 2013 Bridgewater's Finest Movie Awards, presented in conjunction and co-promoted with the Resident Movie Lover blog at residentmovielover.blogspot.ca. So we've now gone through every awards video. We've given away the best action, drama, comedy, cheater, and fantasy sci-fi film of the year, the movies that I expected more from, I expected less, can't believe I hated, can't believe I loved, best actors, actresses, and directors on the year, the top 10 worst movies of 2013, and you've already seen number 20 to number 11 on the top 20 best movies of the year. Now it's time to wrap it up. This is part 2 of the top 20 best movies of 2013. This is number 10 through number 1, so let's get to it. Number 10 on my list of the top 20 best movies of 2013 is Mud. Now, Mud is a drama starring Matthew McConaughey, Reese Witherspoon, and Ty Sheridan, and was directed by Jeff Nichols. In Mud, two southern teenage boys encounter a fugitive hiding out on a small island, pledging to help him escape from bounty hunters with the love of his life. Now, Mud asks a lot of questions and makes a lot of statements on the concepts of love and loyalty, and it's set against this beautiful southern backdrop that really, really works well for this movie. And despite being at times a tremendously flawed character, the titular character of Mud, played by Matthew McConaughey, is endlessly empathetic, and that is of course a credit to not only the way the character is written, but to the performance of McConaughey himself. Continuing to prove the potential star power of child actors, the two child leads in this, Ty Sheridan and Jacob Laughlin, are both phenomenal. They both play really, really interesting and fun characters. And there are great supporting performances from the likes of Sam Shepard, Sarah Paulson, Michael Shanahan, as well as others. Mud has a mostly straightforward story, but it tosses some symbolism at you in the form of some really interesting plot devices. Love may be dirty, but Mud is pure, and at a rating of 85 out of 100, Mud is my number 10 best movie of 2013. My number 9 best movie of 2013 is The Hunger Games: Catching Fire. Now, The Hunger Games: Catching Fire is a sci-fi action movie starring Jennifer Lawrence, Liam Hemsworth, and Donald Sutherland, and is directed by Francis Lawrence. In The Hunger Games: Catching Fire, Katniss Everdeen and Peeta Mellark are thrust back into the world of the arena during the third quarter quell of the Hunger Games, as Panem breaks out in revolution around them. I want to reiterate that I have not read the Hunger Games books, ergo I really can't speak to how closely and how faithfully the movies follow the source material. But what I can vouch for is the fact that Catching Fire, as compared to the first Hunger Games movie, is a significant step forward in terms of filmmaking and quality. The cinematography in Catching Fire is much, much more competent. It's shot in a sort of more traditional, but at the same time still a very vibrant way. And it satisfies that need for a grittier, more realistic, and darker view of the world of Panem. There were superb performances in Catching Fire from the entire ensemble. I particularly want to note Philip Seymour Hoffman, who brings in a new character, the Game Maker, and he has just a great performance as that character. Catching Fire is more emotional, it presents a stronger and better dystopia, it leaves you on a solid cliffhanger, and everything about this movie leaves you wanting more. With a rating of 85 out of 100, The Hunger Games: Catching Fire is my number 9 best movie of 2013. My number 8 best movie of 2013 is Pacific Rim. Now, Pacific Rim is a sci-fi action movie starring Charlie Hunnam, Rinko Kikuchi, and Idris Elba, and is directed by Guillermo del Toro. In Pacific Rim, giant fighting robots, Jaegers, giant fighting monsters, kaijus, enough said. In all seriousness, Pacific Rim actually has a super cool concept in my eyes. The idea of an alien invasion that takes place from within your own planet as opposed to being invaded from the outside. It's kind of a cool idea. And I am a major supporter of anything that takes a modern spin on the classic monster movies and brings them back into the mainstream. Some people look down on this movie as just plain silly, or in the case of one ridiculous blogger on the internet, gender biased. Seriously, this is the wrong movie to point the finger at and scream gender bias, especially when you have a strong female protagonist. It's a goddamn monster movie. Just roll with it. The design and execution of the monsters, the Jaegers, and the fight scenes especially are chaotic but super fun. And even though it's middle-of-the-road characters, middle-of-the-road story, don't care. Jaegers, kaijus, that's all I need. At a rating of 85 out of 100, Pacific Rim is my number 8 best movie of 2013. Number 7 on my list of the top 20 best movies of 2013 is John Dies at the End. Now, John Dies at the End is a fantasy horror comedy starring Chase Williamson, Rob Mays, and Paul Giamatti, and is directed by Don Coscarelli. In John Dies at the End, a new street drug by the name of soy sauce sends its users on a trip through time, space, and dimensions. But some who return are not what they once were. I'm watching John Dies at the End, and I can't get it out of my head that it feels like a spiritual successor to things like Slaughterhouse-5 in terms of aliens and time travel and things like that, as well as Ghosts/Aliens. And if you haven't read Ghosts/Aliens, read Ghosts/Aliens. John Dies at the End is extremely funny in this understated kind of black comedy sort of way with a really, really brilliant screenplay. If you can commit yourself to faithfully following the dialogue in this movie, the screenplay is tremendous. John Dies at the End is a loosely connected but wildly entertaining 100-minute roller coaster ride with a rating of 85 out of 100. John Dies at the End is my number 7 best movie of 2013. My number 6 best movie of 2013 is Dallas Buyers Club. Now, Dallas Buyers Club is a biographical drama starring Matthew McConaughey, Jennifer Garner, and Jared Leto, and is directed by Jean-Marc Vallée. Dallas Buyers Club tells the story of Ron Woodruff, a rodeo enthusiast and electrician in 1980s Texas, who's diagnosed with HIV and later AIDS, and smuggles alternative treatments into the U.S. from Mexico and other parts of the world, thereby waging war on the FDA. The Dallas Buyers Club was the last movie that I saw before going ahead with these awards. I waited until January 4th before I actually saw this movie and then decided to go ahead. And it was absolutely worth every second of that extra wait. The Dallas Buyers Club completely rides the performance of Matthew McConaughey, who is phenomenal as Ron Woodruff. He is so good in this role. Let's completely take away the fact that he lost 50 pounds on his frame, which is not huge. He lost 50 pounds in order to accurately resemble someone with HIV. And it is, when you see him, it's almost like how Charlize Theron looked in Monster. It's a complete transformation. You can barely tell that it's Matthew McConaughey. But I also cannot go without mentioning the performance of Jared Leto, who plays a transgender named Rayon, who is a fictional character in this story, but representative of many people that Ron actually knew. And Jared Leto just gives a phenomenal performance. I kind of hope it garners him a Best Supporting Actor nomination with the Oscars. Aside from the performances themselves, we have some top-notch direction here by Jean-Marc Vallée. This man needs more work, and immediately. It's a fantastic screenplay, and it's just a surprisingly, like a remarkably powerful story of survival and just ambition. If you're not going to do this for me, I'm going to do it for myself. And it's a great message. This is cinematic gold. At a rating of 85 out of 100, Dallas Buyers Club is my number 6 best movie of 2013. My number 5 best movie of 2013 is Prisoners. Now, Prisoners is a criminal suspense thriller starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Hugh Jackman, and Paul Dano, and is directed by Denis Villeneuve. In Prisoners, a Boston father kidnaps the man who is suspected of kidnapping both his and his friend's daughters. While he holds the suspected kidnapper hostage, Detective Loki is attempting to solve the case. This is among the surprises of the year for me. It's not like I didn't think I was going to like it. I pretty much knew I was going to like it. I like Gyllenhaal, I like Jackman, I like Paul Dano, I like most of the people that's in the movie. So I figured I was going to like it, but it completely took me by surprise at the end of this movie how much I loved the movie. Like, I immediately wanted to go back and watch it again. So much so that, of course, I gave it my I Can't Believe I Loved This Movie award in an earlier video. As I mentioned before, Prisoners has a tremendous building of suspense. It proves that you don't need horrific violence to be uncomfortable, although there is violence in the movie, of course. It's got great performances. The direction is fantastic. Everything about this movie is great. Prisoners hits some real entertaining highs without submitting to the bad tropes and stupidity that this genre can often do. With a rating of 85 out of 100, Prisoners is my number 5 best movie of 2013. Number 4 on my list of the top 20 best movies of 2013 is This Is the End. This Is the End is a sci-fi comedy starring an ensemble cast which play themselves. This includes James Franco, Jay Baruchel, Seth Rogen, Danny McBride, and Jonah Hill. And it's directed by Evan Goldberg and Seth Rogen. In This Is the End, Seth and Jay attend the wild housewarming party for James Franco, during which the biblical rapture occurs and Hollywood celebrities are faced with the apocalypse. I am a huge fan of Jay Baruchel's and Seth Rogen's and Jonah Hill's, and of course James Franco, as you saw earlier, gave him my Best Actor award. But even outside of those people, the movie just works really, really well. It's really funny, which is a little surprising because I'm not a big Craig Robinson fan, but I thought he was pretty good in the movie. And I'm very skeptical of Danny McBride, even at the best of times. Outside of his writing for Eastbound and Down, I really haven't been a fan of him. But let me tell you, everyone in this movie is funny and fantastic. This Is the End is silly stoner comedy, but it's the best kind of silly stoner comedy. The kind that is funny from the first frame of the movie to the last frame of the movie. But never mind all that. Dat ending. If you haven't seen This Is the End, I really don't want to spoil it. The only thing that I can say is, everybody. With a rating of 85 out of 100, This Is the End is my number 4 best movie of 2013. And you're welcome for the singing. Number 3 on my list of the top 20 best movies of 2013 is Star Trek Into Darkness. Now, Star Trek Into Darkness is a sci-fi action-adventure starring Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, and Benedict Cumberbatch, and is directed by J.J. Abrams. In Star Trek Into Darkness, Captain James Kirk discovers an unstoppable force of terror within Starfleet. Kirk and the Enterprise lead the manhunt into Klingon space to track down the man who seems bent on Starfleet's destruction. Aside from the fact that I'm a lifelong Trekkie, there was some intentional comedy in this movie that was actually a really unexpected bonus. I didn't expect to laugh as much in this movie as I did for a movie that I took as seriously as I did. So the nice little blend there of comedy and action sci-fi really, really worked. The new take on the material is still fresh, it's still interesting, and it holds together surprisingly well. But doesn't quite reach the level of the original, the 2009 original Abrams reboot of Star Trek. It's close, just not quite there. The movie can probably be criticized as being too much fan service and probably harkens back to Wrath of Khan a little bit too much, but I'm a fan, so that works great for me. At a rating of 85 out of 100, Star Trek Into Darkness is my number 3 best movie of 2013. Here we go, folks. Top 2. There's 2 big movies that I have not mentioned yet. My number 2 best movie of 2013 is The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug. And some people are now going nuts because they know what my number 1 is. Talking to you, Selig. The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug is a fantasy action-adventure starring an ensemble cast, including Ian McKellen, Cate Blanchett, Richard Armitage, Martin Freeman, and Orlando Bloom, and is directed by Peter Jackson. In The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug, the dwarves continue their quest to reclaim their homeland from the dragon Smaug, along with Gandalf the Grey and the Hobbit Bilbo Baggins, who carries with him a mysterious ring. Now, I rated this movie a 90 despite the fact that the first half hour of it, I really wasn't digging on it. I was a little worried based on the first half hour, but that's how good the rest of this movie was. The second Hobbit movie feels much closer to the original Lord of the Rings trilogy in terms of tone, quality, and performance. And sure, there's hammy moments to be found. The dwarven fight scene when they're in the barrels on the river borders on cringeworthy. No, you know what? It was cringeworthy. But remember, The Hobbit is a bit more of a kid's book than the Lord of the Rings trilogy was, so as far as I'm concerned, it's forgivable. Sauron's reveal was badass. Smaug's design and CGI execution was also badass. In most every way, The Hobbit: The Desolation of Smaug was phenomenal and surpasses an unexpected journey. With a rating of 90 out of 100, The Hobbit: The Desolation of Smaug is my number 2 best movie of 2013. And here it comes, folks. You might already know what it is. My number 1 absolute best movie of 2013 is Spring Breakers. Spring break. Spring break. Spring break forever. God, I love Alien. That's a great character. Spring Breakers is a dramatic comedy starring James Franco, Vanessa Hudgens, and Selena Gomez, and is directed by the incomparable Harmony Korine. In Spring Breakers, 4 college girls rob a restaurant in order to fund their spring break adventure to Florida. While there, they get arrested and get bailed out by a local gangster named Alien. Alien offers to show the girls a whole new world and a spring break they will never forget. Before we get into it, major props for the most random Jeff Jarrett appearance ever. That's Jeff Jarrett. That was for the wrestling fans. I love the way this movie looks and the way this movie feels. It's got beautiful shots. The arrangement is just perfect. I also love the juxtaposition of Catholicism against drug use and the unbridled, unadulterated passion of the stereotypical party. But let's get right down to brass tacks. James Franco owns this movie. My Alien impression doesn't even come in the same ballpark of doing justice to what he did with this character. James Franco was so into his character, Vanessa Hudgens said she was legitimately creeped the hell out by James Franco. Now, I understand this choice is contentious, not only because it's a cheater film, quote unquote, but some people saw this movie or portions of the movie as stupid, weird, annoying, or dare I say it, even bad. As far as I'm concerned, it is classic Harmony Korine, it is deliciously over the top, and it is simply amazing. Spring Breakers is, without question, the best movie of 2013. So that's it, folks. Movie awards are done for another year. I want to thank you guys just one more time so much for checking these videos out and supporting me in what I do. I love doing this. Movies, sports, doesn't matter what I'm talking about. I love being in front of a camera. I love talking for you guys. And I love interacting with you as well, which is why I always get pepped right up when I see there's another comment on one of my videos, because I love talking to you guys, good, bad, or indifferent. It's just a lot of fun. So thank you so much for taking the time to check out these videos. And breaking news, I have been nominated for a Geo Knows Award, first time ever, for Most Entertaining Football Prognosticator. What I need you guys to do is go on Twitter, tweet at GeoKnows, or go to youtube.com/GeoKnows, find the nominations video, go in the comments section, and say you want Bridgewater's Finest to win for Most Entertaining Prognosticator of the Year. Thank you very much for taking the time to do that. We're going to see you guys next time for the movie award videos. That's it for me, Justin, Bridgewater's Finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter. Are we done with movie awards? Hell no! We got a lot more content coming up on the Resident Movie Lover blog at residentmovielover.blogspot.ca. It could be textual, it could be video, it could be for your oral pleasure, as Kevin Smith likes to say. However we bring it to you, you'll know it first by following the Resident Movie Lover blog. Thank you so much. We're going to see you again next year.